Explore Tacoma's community spirit, filmmaking tips, and stories worth sharing globally.
Back in the day used to be really bad, stinky, not kept well. And the other part that people often don't recognize is that all of these bad things that were in the past, they have been transformed into good things. Who did it? The people did it. Community did it. You know, cities like Detroit, for example, was so dependent on one big company, Ford Motors. When Ford Motors came, the city thrived. When Ford Motor left, went down in the gutter. That's not Tacoma. Tacoma's story is the story of its people, its community. They all got together, you know, they volunteered. And I have seen the spirit of volunteerism in Tacoma is amazing. I'm involved in several non-profit. I'm on the board of several non-profit. It amazes me how much people are willing to give their time to, give their money to, and just do it because it is good for the city. That love for Tacoma, that I think it needs a culture, and something has happened in Tacoma that has inculcated that culture. Not very many cities have done it.
So talk about nonprofits. Talk about your role. I think I'm gonna say this wrong. Tacoma Kachi Friendship City Committee.
Yeah, Kochi. So Kochi is
Kochi.
one of the cities in India. It's a southern city. It's one of the cities in the state of Kerala, which is one of the most gorgeous places in India. I am the chair of Tacoma Kochi. The Sister Cities is an international non-profit. I am part of the Tacoma Sister Cities. Sister Cities was started as a non-profit in 1956, I believe, by President Eisenhower. And the goal was very simple: to connect people to people. So how do we connect cities of America? How do we connect American cities with cities of rest of the world so that they can work together, they can have exchanges, they can have dialogue, they can take things to each other's city and promote each other's local businesses and culture. That was the idea, and it has come so far. So Tacoma Sister Cities, we have about 16 sister city relationship across the world. Kochi is the latest one. I went to India and we signed a relationship with Kochi. My role really is to bring and we call them sister cities because they are sisters in some way. They're similar. So for example, why Kochi? Why did I choose Kochi? Because Kochi is also a port city like Tacoma. Kochi is very artistic. It's one of the film cities in India, so the art of filmmaking is there. We have the art of glass blowing and so many other art forms. um, so that was the idea, to find a city that you can learn from, that can give you something that you can give to, uh, something somewhere where there could be a good healthy exchange of ideas and products and services. So that's what Kochi is, one of our sister cities, and I'm very happy to be the chair, and I'm bringing other people on board to.
And you're actually a trained filmmaker, correct?
I'm also trained.
So like from school, you train yourself.
Yeah.
How does one become a trained filmmaker? And what does that mean?
There are two ways. I went through the old-fashioned way. I went to the film school in India, and that's how I do not recommend that anymore. If you want to become a filmmaker, go hang out on a film set, find out a filmmaker, spend time with them. And this is what I'm doing, and some of my friends are doing. We are working together in Tacoma. A lot of us are filmmakers. Many of us have gone to film schools, and we just believe that that was not necessary. That was not the best way. There is a better way, cheaper way, faster way to learn film, which is hang out with filmmakers, spend time on the stage, read, watch films, watch lots of films, watch documentaries about the making of the films. So if you can find any documentary that shows how this particular film was made, watch interviews of filmmakers, read scripts, read original screenplays. That's how you become a filmmaker. And also, so that's the technical side of it, like filmmaker meaning direction, production, cinematographer. There are lots of aspects of what do you mean by filmmaker. You are a filmmaker if you write script. You're a filmmaker if you're a producer. You're a filmmaker if you're a director, actor. There are many ways. But I think the most important thing is to learn the art and craft of becoming a film producer, because that covers everything, the entire gamut of filmmaking. And once you do that, you will know what you're good at. Again, going back to the validation point. So if you give yourself 6 7 months or a year and say, I want to learn how to be a producer, and you go through the whole pre-production, production, and post-production stages, it is very likely that something will pop up to you and say, I want to do this. I want to do writing. I love writing. Or I want to do cinematography. I love camera. I want to play more with camera. I want to see what angles we can use. Or you could get into lighting and say, I love the idea of lighting. Like some people will walk into this room and they will not be interested in anything, but they'll say, oh, three lighting, oh, one key light. Oh, they also they would just observe all of it. They will observe these lights. You and I are not doing it because it's not appealing to us. Some people do that. Other people will come and they'll just say, oh, there were three cameras and they were all facing the left of the subject, and there was one camera here, there was okay, we could have done that. Their mind will start,
Yeah, all this
start working.
all this can get very
Can we
technical.
take that camera over there? Can we have a
Yeah.
a low angle shot? They will think like that,
Mhm.
and that's what I call validation.
Okay.
Something is picking you without you doing anything. They are just, and you are being attracted to that thing. Then go there. Then think of cinematography.
Okay.
Then it makes sense to go to some film school and spend a year doing cinematography, but not without validation.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are thinking like for podcasting, filming, whatever, not right. Anything in life, like think, oh, you just do it right. No, everything has a technical deep dive, right? There's like the angle of the microphone, there's light, there's all these different things, right? People don't realize how technical it can get, and sometimes you get too technical, right?
Yeah, yeah. And we are using the word technical, but it has a direct impact. Low angle shots, if I film you and I am using a low angle shot, I'm adding power to your person. Whatever you say, the viewers are saying, wow, that's really powerful.
Yep.
You are not saying powerful thing. It's the camera angle
Yep.
which is giving power to what you're saying. You can say the exact same line, and if the camera is above you, over your head, you are a low angle, suddenly you are weak and meek and
And if
lose
and
power.
then depending what type of music you add,
And it doesn't matter what you add.
Yeah.
You cannot add power if the camera is above your head.
Okay.
You add whatever music you want to add.
doesn't matter. Okay.
It's not going to get the power. That's why if you notice films, wherever the character is in the position of, like for example, if you're showing, for example, let's say there's a scene of a boardroom and the CEO is talking, mostly you will notice the camera is low angle shot.
Yeah, you're right.
And let's say if the CEO is going to fire somebody, the minute you show that person who is in the weak position, camera goes up. If you see all of the torture scene, any of the torture scene in a police station or gangster, look at Godfather. I mean, all of these, the Godfather angle almost always low angle shot, because that's where the power is concentrated. You want to show that power, but how do you translate technical things? Lighting, backlit has a certain effect. We can redo this room completely.
Yeah.
Just doing the lighting,
Yep.
nothing else. And suddenly people will perceive you differently.
Yeah.
They'll say, oh, I think I've never met Jason, but he sounds like a very strict man. Or somebody might say, oh, he really is very cool, happy guy.
Yeah.
Same thing, you're the same person, you're not changing your dialogue, you're not changing your personality. It's just the play of the lighting. So I think it's all technical, but it communicates. Technical decisions communicate emotions, feelings, anger, anxiety. It all comes from that. And that I think is a very powerful thing about filmmaking.
So filmmaking is a relatively new industry, right? Has anything like changed recently? Filmmaking or filmmaking pace has been the same thing since the beginning of filmmaking.
Well, I think a lot of things are changing in filmmaking. One of the things is that the industry has really opened up. So back in the day, it would be very hard to make a film unless you have established studio and big actors. One of the things that has changed is the stories. If you have a good story, you should make a film. And a good story is a story that people connect with. And the other thing that has happened is that the old way of filmmaking was, I have to make a film, then I have to release on a big platform, and millions of people have to watch. If you have 500 people who can watch your film several times, if you have an audience of 2,000 people, make a film. You can make money, and they will watch it over and over, and they will then recommend it to other people. So we have, in some ways, and I think the credit goes to, again, social technology, social media. It's so much easier for me to connect with people like me. If I see a film and I like it, I'm going to send it very quickly in a matter of minutes to about 200 of my friends, and who I know will also like the film. So that tribe of like-mindedness are very organized because of technology, which was not the case back in the day. You may have loved my film, but you were not connected to 200 other people who you knew would also like it, so you were not able to recommend it. So recommendation has become easy, which means that we can make very low budget film with good stories and still make it financially viable.
Other podcasts, a lot of times I tell people, hey, you should come to the podcast. Like, no, I'm boring, I have nothing to tell. I'm like, dude, everyone has a story to tell, right? Yeah. Everyone has a story to tell. You might not think you do, but everyone has some kind of story to tell. Everyone has led some type of interest in life.
I think the definition of story has also evolved a lot. I mean, back in the day, you had to be super dramatic, something great had to happen, and something bad, like really superlative. But that's not the case anymore. I think I totally agree with you. We all have some stories, and stories stick with us. As one of the poets said, stories are the most important currencies of our time. Right?
So one thing I've always wanted to do, but I'm scared to. I've always like wanted to get some random homeless person in the neighborhood. I have bring up, like how this happened to you, like what decision you make, right?